This high-speed steel twist drill was the biggest in the workshop before I upgraded to this U-drill. As you can see, this U-drill is brand new and this will be my first time using one. U-drills have been around for a while, but if you've watched my videos, you'd notice I'm not using the latest technology when it comes to machining. So here's my first test run. I just want to add here, at this point I had no idea what to expect. I did no research on U-drills. In fact, the only information I got on the tool was when I asked the supplier if I need a center hole or pilot hole before drilling with the U-drill. They probably thought I shouldn't be operating a lathe with that question. Anyways, I was shocked to find out that a pilot hole or center hole will negatively impact the drill. So that's all the information I had at this point. I just winged it. The U-drill drills with two square tungsten tips. It is a 50mm U-drill. So I'm literally drilling from no hole straight to a 50mm hole. So those tungsten tips are cutting with a very large surface area. And just with my experience on a manual lathe, the larger your cuts, the slower your chuck's RPM. And then when it comes to the feed rate I was using, well, the U-drill was in the tailstock. There's no auto feed. I just fed the U-drill in with a feed rate that felt right on my hands. Now this might sound a bit silly, but when you spend enough time manually cutting, you can usually feel if your tool is cutting right. Anyways, that was my mentality. I told you I was winging it. Okay, now one thing I noticed on my first attempt. Notice how the U-drill was trying to climb. If you're not sure what I mean, notice how the U-drill is hopping here. A possible reason for this could be because my tailstock is slightly off-center. I stand to be corrected, but I believe another possibility is because the flute on this U-drill is 260mm long. So it's not as rigid as what a shorter one would be. Now this might be a bit obvious, but the U-drill is a lot more efficient. There was a couple other things I wanted to learn from this first attempt. Like how accurate does it actually drill the hole? And how the finish looks. But before I get into that, later this night I went home and did a bit of research on the U-drill. And from what I've read, I should be rotating a lot faster on my chuck. Another point I picked up on is that the U-drill drills a lot better when the coolant is applied properly. There is actually a hole at the back of the U-drill for coolant to enter and then exit through two holes in the front, right behind the cutting tips. I did notice this when unboxing the U-drill. But there is no coolant port with the adapter I got for the U-drill to work in my tailstock. I will be adding one to it though. Remember, this is my first attempt. Applying the coolant properly will also help with the chips, not only keeping the tips cool. Okay, so I've drilled through the material now. I now want to see how close the hole was to 50mm. So in the front of the hole, it measured close to 49.5. With the way the U-drill was hopping, I didn't expect the size to measure the same all the way through. So I used a telescopic gauge to help me measure the diameter of the hole in the middle of the material and then at the back of the material. The hole got slightly bigger in the middle and then again slightly smaller at the back. I believe that could only be from the hopping. When I did my research at home, I watched a video that mentioned that the U-drill is not actually 50mm, it is ranged from 50 to 51mm. So with that being said, U-drills are not made for drilling to finishing size. They are for roughing. You still need to bore to your finishing size. Alright, next I want to show you the adapter I used to get the U-drill working in the tailstock. So the adapter locks in the tailstock on a Morse taper. My tailstock is a size 5 Morse taper. And then the U-drill is inserted in the hole on the front of the adapter. And that was my first attempt with the U-drill. I just want to show you the surface finish I got with the U-drill. Not too great, but again, it's just for roughing.